So, just to clarify here, this is not an original idea. This is not any kind of incitement to violence or anything crazy like that. I saw a video a while ago. I wish I could find it. It was months ago. I tried to look. I couldn't figure out where it was. I don't know who uploaded it. It was some dude. I think he was like a Marine infantryman. He might have been Army, but with a whiteboard, talking about how he would structure and organize and equip and run like a modern day militia force in either like a Red Dawn or Civil War type scenario. And I had I had a brief discussion with him in the comments, and I disagreed on a few points, and I felt like he was looking at it too much as an infantryman under the idea of, running normal modern infantry tactics, and the issue with that is they rely heavily on fire superiority, and if you are a civilian militia, either trying to overthrow the fucking American military or like some Red Dawn threat that has invaded, that's never going to happen. You are never going to have fire superiority. You are not going to be able to fight that way. You are not going to be able to stand your ground and go toe to toe and suppress them and maneuver on. It's just not going to happen. You're not going to have the logistics to supply that much ammunition for that long, and they're going to have more guns than you, more men than you, bigger guns, thermals. You're just not going to get there, right? Like it's not, to my mind, it is not a reasonable assumption to go in with, and I feel like you kind of need to go a very different direction than how you would handle, the general basic infantry thing. So I'm going to look at this from a relatively different direction. I'm going to start off very simple. How would I equip them, and go into how would I use them? What would my intentions be? What would I hope for? And realistically, how likely is it to succeed? I feel like this is a very common issue. Like you run into a lot of things like this where people come from a military background. Like I come from a military background. Cool. I learned a lot of shit there. It was great. But the issue is people try to apply one solution to every problem. That's not how it works. Like how many times have you heard someone say a pistol is only good to get you to a rifle? That's fucking awesome if there's a rifle to get to, like in the military. Then sure. But if you're a civilian, 9 times out of 10, the only thing you're going to have is a pistol. So if you're going on the idea, I need to get to a rifle, that's pretty fucking stupid off the get-go, right? Like people say, how important is a pistol? Well, if you're an infantryman doing fucking stack to clear a building, not very, because you have 12 dudes with you, right? And they are your sidearm. If your gun goes down, by the time you can do anything else, they're probably going to deal with the issue. If you're alone, having a second gun is helpful, because you might need a second gun because you don't have a whole group of people with you at all times. And that's the issue. You see people going into these like shit hit the fan, doomsday scenarios and things like that, and treating them like it's just infantry doctrine again. And it's not. I don't think that's the right way to look at it. Or what else? When people tell you to, one of my favorites is when people tell you to like clear your house if you think someone's there, and they tell you to use like actual like infantry CQB with like speed and violence of action. And the issue is that's built around you having an entire squad with rifles and body armor and grenades. That doesn't work if it's just you at 3 a.m. in your underwear because you heard a bump in the night and you want to make sure there's nothing going wrong in your DAR's room down the hall, right? It's a completely different world, and I see this mostly on like forums and things, YouTube a lot too, where people just don't really get that a different scenario needs an entirely different set of rules. So it's really just a thought experiment. I'm not trying to shit on anyone. I understand why they come from it at the angle they do. I just disagree, and I think framing matters. And if I can find out where the video came from, it will get linked into the description and everything. So make sure you check that. I'm still gonna try to find the video, but it was, God, I listened to it in between classes for college, and that means it was at least before the summer. So it's been a while. The very first thing to me would be just a simple, how would you dress them, right? As you can see, this is about how I dress normally. Basically, every day I always have a base layer of a t-shirt, something flowier over it, open or closed, mostly for the sake of concealed carry. But also, I like layers like how they look. Jeans, right? My belt is the We the People belt, so it's like a really rigid gun belt, so it doesn't flex at all. And well, it flexes left and right, obviously. It doesn't flex up and down, so it makes a holster quite comfortable. All that. This is honestly not bad as a starting point. just just relatively active day-to-day clothing, because the biggest thing a militia can do generally is dissolve back into a civilian population. And if you already are dressed like a civilian, throw the rifle in a bush. Honestly, this already isn't a bad starting point, but I'm going to build upon that. Yeah. Unfortunately, this is probably not the best answer. I would call this, uh, if I was trying to be flippant, I would say the LARPerator answer. And if I was trying to be a little more polite, I would say this is the I think I'm a military and I'm not, which matters. And this is going to cover like multicam or OCPs as well. Right. As much as like, there's a reason why militaries use full camouflage uniforms, and it might be useful for specific instances in this militia thought experiment. I'm not going to say it won't. Maybe there's times where blending in a lot to sneak up and hit a really high value target matters. That might be the case. However, first off, most camo that civilians are going to be able to buy for cheap to source is not NIR compliant, which means it basically glows under night vision. So like, this is probably not going to work most of the time. I think this jacket is NIR compliant, but the pants aren't. And this hurts me to say, because anyone who knows me knows that I'm a sloppy fucking slut for Tiger Stripe. I love Tiger Stripe, even though this is like Tie Tiger, where it's not as bright, the lines aren't as clear, especially the pants. But I still love it. Even I need a proper like Vietnam Tiger. So I have some mag pouches and stuff in Vietnam Tiger, and they are fucking. I love these. I love them so much. They look so good, and they are effective. They really are. There's a reason why the military didn't start using them. You know what that reason is? The CIA wanted it for themselves. So the CIA used it, and they said they didn't want the infantry and the general grunts using it because that would make them look more regular, basically. So tragic. But yeah, so the issue with this is, first off, you're probably not going to sneak up against modern technology. Just night vision, you're going to give yourself away a lot. And once you enter thermals into the equation, it's just not working. I don't see it being that effective. Not with how prevalent thermals are. Every military vehicle, like in the U.S. military, at least if we're doing a Civil War scenario, or if it's Red Dawn, where it's China or Russia, basically the same deal. They've all got thermals on their weapons, and they're scanning all the time, and they have drones in the air, and half the soldiers have thermal binoculars. I feel like we're really getting to the point where this doesn't help too much, and then you have the added issue. If it's a Red Dawn type scenario where you're supporting the United States military just as like a partisan force, then cool. Wearing camo they wear is probably good for like PID so they don't shoot you. Except now Russia wears multicam, so it's actually useless. But you know, there's something there. But if you're in that Civil War type scenario, beyond any possible Geneva issues of like false flagging, uh, it makes you look too visibly recognizable instantly as a combatant. Which again, depending on what you're doing, maybe that's okay for a one-off like high value raid. maybe that makes sense. But as like a day-to-day thing, probably not. So having the ability to give at least a few like strike teams real camouflage, especially NIR rated, that's great. That's great if you're fighting like a civil war or whatever. If it's a Red Dawn type thing, leave that to the fucking actual military when they get there. You just try to harass and like delay enemy forces basically. So that's not your job. But if it's a civil war type fictional scenario, then yeah, a few strike teams of like your best guys having some real camouflage, that does make an amount of sense. It's good to have some of this, but it probably shouldn't be what you're trying to give everybody. Not to mention that's really fucking expensive. And now I said before, you want to go disappear into a civilian population. If I look like this and I got like a million buttons and shit everywhere, like right, how fast can I get this off? It's not the worst. And it's kind of a vibe. But that said, it's a pretty long time if you're trying to like disappear while pursued. And if you have like uniform style stuff under it, you're extra fucked. And it takes away the like one advantage you have as a partisan type force is that you can work with the locals and become one of them again when being shot at becomes inconvenient. So it's just as nice as the Tiger Strike looks, and as much as a lot of people love like multicam and stuff, and people want to do their operator fantasies, it's not that. In my humble opinion, as one dumbass. Then we get into what I would call kind of more tactical, right? Where it's normal hiking pants or jeans or something, and then the more tactical-ish top, which I could then remove if I needed to, right? And this could be something that's more camouflaged. It could be something like this tactical hoodie, which is a little bit bulkier. It has a little thermal lining, so it's nice and warm. Because again, keep in mind, generally the environment is more of a danger than the actual combat in most conflicts, especially if you're ever forced to remain in the wild because maybe they're hunting for you in town. You know, that's less helpful if you're freezing to death in the winter. This has some potential for wear it, but then you can still ditch it if you need to disappear into an urban area. But it might help you with your concealment in a rural area or not really necessarily rural, but a more wilderness or undeveloped area. It's got some points. I think this is more beneficial than like a straight up military uniform. If you can just have something that, yeah, there could be some camouflage to it. It can be a little tactile like this, but just something that is like really made to actually work as outdoor clothes rather than to look nice as a military uniform or like necessarily be fully just for camouflage. Because even then, like obviously I can wear this around town, so you can still disappear with it. It's just if you ditch it, you have a white T-shirt under it, you're gonna look better. But it just gives more options, and there's also the fact of I'm sure you can probably tell the big thing here. If the suppressor cam wasn't on it, it would be a lot easier to conceal, especially if I dropped the thing. You can conceal a whole ass like pistol caliber carbine like this for your maybe more urban strikes if you ever had to do that. It's an idea. Again, I am not advocating for anything. Please don't do any kind of political violence. That doesn't help anybody. It just makes everyone hate your side. Usually, it does not achieve anything for you because you just polarize and enrage the people that you pissed off. So don't do that. But if it was an invading army or something like that. They get closer to do something like that in a team. Probably wouldn't get out, but it might be worth it to you, maybe, right? Cut the stock off, or if you're happy with it being folded, fine. Take the faux suppressor off. You could definitely do something just under, something a little bit baggy. The folding stock, I think, was definitely printing a little bit on the camera. But without that, you have the wonderful advantage of wow, that there's nothing. And again, this is a rather tactical hoodie. It's from Adventure Games. It's for the game Gray Zone Warfare, but it's actually very nice. Right? It can be anything, any kind of baggy thing. The only thing is, if you are getting into actual like combat, this would suck ass to run around in. Like it would suck ass to be doing like tactical movements and shit in this and like trying to run around and dive, just because it's bulky. It's gonna catch on shit in the woods, and I'm already sweating just here in my air conditioned apartment. Obviously, you can do it. A lot of people have been through worse. It's nothing compared to like 110 degrees in like the Middle East or the fucking Colorado desert just for training. But heat casualties kill a lot of people. Cold cats get a lot of people out. Those are generally more dangerous than the actual bullets flying. So just keep that in mind with something like this, right? It's great when you're sitting around. It's not great once you have to move. But if you can have something like this that does get issued around, great. If people just have to wear anything that really isn't like bright commercial cold weather gear, like bright neon blue or orange. Because I know I said camouflage isn't your main goal, but you also don't want to immediately stand out. This gets into the whole gray man thing. Yeah, I know. If you do the whole gray man shit and civilian carry, you actually stand out because the average person doesn't really dress like they're active to move or do anything useful with their lives. They just wear fucking sweatpants and whatever. I don't care about that. I Depends where you live. If you're in the middle of a big ass super urban city, then yeah, sure, you're fucked. Where I live in Tennessee, fucking hoodies, flannels, and like hiking pants, it's not abnormal. I wear hiking boots every day. So does half the population. But do keep that in mind. How your local population dresses does kind of dictate your options, because if you're the only ones dressing for the outdoors and you're like 200 miles from the nearest tree, that might not go great. You guys still remember the show Dexter, right? I feel like I feel like Dexter's kill outfit that he always wears is actually really onto a great point, or at least a great start. Okay, you have the sweater, you have the pants. It is great. It's a nice light knit sweater, because again he's in Florida where it's hot and humid. You can actually be nice and covered, but still be relatively cool. It can breathe. It can be nice and fine. Right. It protects your actual skin from being exposed to anything. It'll make you glow a little bit less with the night vision and all. Not gonna help with thermals still. But again, it's a reasonable enough outfit. If I get a rifle, this is perfectly reasonable just to wear out and about. So they are reasonable enough to wear out and about. So again, you have that wonderful ability of disappearing into a crowd. You can have a uniform so that your guys can identify each other, but it's not necessarily overt enough that you can get shot on sight. Hopefully, because it's still super reasonable for a normal person to just put it on. It's a tan or beige pants and a black sweater. And is it the best camouflage ever? Is black great camouflage? No, especially because under night vision, extra black, but it doesn't have to be. Doesn't have to be a black sweater. It can be green. I'm gonna melt for a minute to make a point, but once again, looks reasonable, and now it's actually pretty close to camouflage, especially a little bit oversized. The wrinkles kind of form. Yeah, that look like tiger stripe, kind of a little bit. Yeah, because it kind of makes use of a camo pattern out of the wrinkles and the shadows, I guess. Is it going to be as good as actual camouflage? No, obviously. But we've already established that's not really a good idea. So you gotta take what you can get. And this is something, if you're in town, this is still fine. This is fine. But if you go out into the woods, it at least stops you from immediately standing out. Is it? It's still not actual camouflage. It's flat colors, but it works, right? This is just a dude. It's just a dude. Now it's not just a dude. It's just a vibe. Like, I think it just looks cool. And this is important. That doesn't sound important. Let me explain. If you have a ton of ragtag dudes that need to skip the kind of ragtag dudes that need to go against a superior force, it's probably kicking their asses in every real engagement because that's what happens with asymmetrical forces. If you engage the enemy, you're taking losses. The whole point is to, avoid the actual critical engagements and make them short and decisive and then fuck off before you're all dead and limit your losses. Right? You're not fighting your big stand-up battles where you just decimate them because you're asymmetric. You don't have the military, you don't have the armored vehicles, you don't have that. That's not you. So you get these guys that every time they're doing anything, they're probably dying and losing friends. Morale matters a lot because they're gonna stop showing up otherwise. If you're in the Middle East, you have the whole religious extremist aspect to keep people fervent and active. If you are from an American suburb, you don't have that. So you need people to at least feel like they're some level of professional, they've got something going on, and just feel good about themselves. Like, don't underestimate that part, because that's what asymmetric warfare is. It's seeing who's gonna break first. Is it the fighters or the taxpayers? Because it's not gonna be the big first world nation military. That's not the one that's breaking. It's gonna be their taxpayers funding it, or it's gonna be you, right? Like, you don't see Ukraine out there trying to. Ukraine's a different example. Not necessarily, it's asymmetric, but kind of. They're not like, you know, it's not like a Vietnam or a Taliban situation. That said, you don't see them trying to like march into Russia and like counter assault and like take the whole place. That's not what they're doing. They're not trying to match force for force. They're trying to make this take long enough and hold long enough that eventually the other end has to give up. It's how trench warfare works. It's how asymmetric warfare works. You gotta last long enough that you break the other side's spirit before your spirit breaks. That's what it is. That's the game. That is counterinsurgency, right? So, it's a factor that matters. Again, it's breathable. I can run around in this. It's fine because it's a relatively loose weave. So is the other one. I don't even know where I put it anymore. But plus, look at the propaganda posters. Come on. Yeah, you gotta make the propaganda posters. They gotta be a cool silhouette. How else are you gonna recruit people? So it matters, and it's uniform enough to work for that stuff, and that doesn't matter. So we're getting somewhere. Dexter. Dexter might have been onto something. But there's some other stuff to go through. But this is a solid contender. If we had no budget, like we weren't giving them anything, there's no centralized budget to our people. It's just, hey, guys, show up in this tomorrow. Then yeah, a black sweater and some kind of hiking or cargo pants is good enough. These pants, by the way, these are the cool KUHL revolvers. I'm not sponsored. They don't know I exist. I love this brand. I have so many things with this brand. It's so stretchy. It's like full range of motion. I can do anything. They aren't super. What's it called? They're expensive, but I've had most of these since like I joined the army, like since 2018. And despite being relatively active and doing shit outdoors, they don't tear, they don't break, they just fucking keep going, right? Like I love these fucking things. Another solid contender, honestly, is I have a pair of old like 511 combat jeans that my ex-wife bought me, and I actually love those things. They're so stretchy and breathable, you can do whatever. They're just a light blue jeans, but they have like mag pouches and shit. Like hidden behind the back pockets, there's two like AR-15 size mag pouches. I love those things. Those would work if you want to go that route. But again, if you just, hey guys, show up in this tomorrow, we're gonna do a thing. A dark colored sweater and some khakis or cargo pants or hiking pants, and we're there. It's perfectly functional. You can do whatever you need to do. It's basically a military uniform, using that loosely. But it works. This is frankly the best thing so far. Now this is the best thing since the very first outfit I was doing, which was my day to day with the green flannel. Not even then, the green flannel and the right color scheme is camouflage, so that works too. Whoa, oh, hold on. Black is black camouflage. In the age of night vision, not necessarily. That said, it does help with the naked eye. Yes, I know what you're going to type in the comments. If I had any commenters, I don't. Oh well. But if I did, I know what the comment would be, because I've seen it over and over. Darkness isn't black. Darkness is all the colors the world already is, but dark. Yes. But that looks black. And the fun thing about this is you still need to have the right camo colors for what you're on. So if you're wearing woodland camo and it's kind of gravel, you still stand out. If it's black, it's black. So don't overcorrect too far. Black is still helpful. There's a reason people doing shit at night have worn black for a really long time. It does help. That's nice all around. It's the same concept as multicam. Everyone loves multicam because it's not specific, it's super generalized. But then people shit on the color black. The general crux of my argument for how to be clothed is some kind of pants that are generally civilian looking but are still kind of active or outdoor wear that you can move the fuck around in and run fast and get down without tearing them, right? It's just kind of, no matter what, some kind of pants that can do that. And then top something in a flat or dark color that looks civilian enough but still offers some concealment within the woods, and then also is, weather appropriate for your time of year. So we've got the thermal hoodie type deal for when it's a bit colder, like in the fall, maybe not quite winter. I don't have anything here super appropriate for like winter because it's Tennessee, but obviously use your brain, put some thermals under the pants, and wear some kind of dark colored winter top. Okay, but something that blends in enough in the wilderness that you can be taken care of, and just, you don't need to be a full fucking ghost, Just anything that takes someone an extra half second to recognize, oh shit, that's a person. That's a half second you didn't have before. It helps, right? As long as you're not fucking neon red or something though, to draw all the attention ever, it doesn't really matter that much. I mean, look at fucking Ukraine now, man. They're fighting. They have camouflage on, but everyone's wearing the same camouflage, so they have bright colored armbands. Don't hyperfixate over camouflage in the world of thermals, please. As long as it's not a bright color giving you away for no fucking reason, wear whatever fucking color. But, you know, if you can have a color that kind of blends in a little bit, just doesn't super stand out, awesome. That's enough. I think this is fine, right? You can do your work if you need to, right? If I were to go and bring this, hold on. So this is a work in progress belt rig I'm trying to fuck around with and see how it works. Super cheap suspenders just for a proof of concept. It's just a battle belt. So, yeah, just a battle belt, cheap ass fucking Amazon suspenders for now, just to try all the concept out. You don't need the suspenders, it can just be the belt. But yeah, take a little weight off. Something I'm trialing for this concept right now, kind of developing as I go. So I don't have all the pouches on it just yet, so keep that in mind. But this is basically what I would call my Minuteman kit if I were to have one for like at a minute's notice. Ready to go. Throw this thing on. Normally the holster and knife are right here, so pistol holster, knife right there. I need to get myself some canteen pouches still. But then this thing is mostly done. I need to find out which actual suspender harness I want to go with for a quality one. Because again, this is a cheap, shitty one off Amazon. Just try it out. I do already like it. It's already nicer than just a belt. Okay. But this is what I'm working with for now. Just proof of concept. Hear me out. Okay. Alright. So I have 2 mags of 20 rounds. They could be 25s for an AR-10. I have 2 spare mags of 19 rounds for my pistol. They could be different. I have a Ruger S-Bar. Why is it the S-Bar? God, there's a weird fucking distortion effect on the camera. I just realized that. Look at that. Looks like the barrel's bent. That's disgusting. Anyways, alright. Let me take a step back. I think this is about the way to go. I said that video I found on YouTube before was basically going at it from a very infantry perspective of give everyone an AR-15 because they're going to do suppressing fire. They're not going to gain fire superiority, so you're just wasting ammo firing. If you're firing at all, while the enemy doesn't actually get pinned down, you get picked off, and someone maneuvers on you, and then you're dead, like we do to the people in the Middle East. It doesn't work for them so well when they just sort of stand and shoot, which is why they don't. That's not the way to do it. It's like it just no offense to the guy. He's a very cool dude. I like the dude. I liked the video. I did. I just think the logic is flawed. So why do I go with something like this? First off, I think your best friend is generally range. That is the thing that comes up. Why is the U.S. military going into the M7 right now? That's just quite controversial. Because they saw a lot of issues in Afghanistan where the enemies had figured out the effective range of our M4s, and they would stand basically just outside of it and take pot shots and then fuck off. And people think, wow, so you're changing your rifle just to deal with that? That's short-sighted. But you have to think about it. They're not thinking about each individual infantry firefight. They're trying to think about that long-term war of, like, every time someone gets hurt or there's any damage to property, the taxpayers pay for it, and then eventually they get tired and they don't want to do the war anymore, and then we've lost the entire war because that. So they're being like, okay, well let's make sure we can deal with them when they're far away. Is it the best choice for the full military? Maybe, probably not. But again, we're not talking about modern infantry, and I think it's a concept that works really well for a partisan type force. Because, again, it pissed the US military off enough that they're adopting a whole new rifle that a lot of people really hate. Right? You get you approach your enemies whenever they stop their convoys or whatever they're doing. They're fixed positions. You approach as stealthily as you can. You get in range of a larger rifle than most of them carry, so they may have maybe a designated marksman to engage you back, or the gunner on their truck. And you have even less options in the modern day of like, remote operated like crows, turrets, and things like that. I know. Best you got, right? You approach, you take some fucking pot shots as a single dude or as a small group. You hope you hit somebody, and then you fuck off and you try to disappear. And that's kind of the best you got, because the longer you stay engaged, the more likely each of you dies, and you're probably not achieving that much more. Because again, you get the crows, turrets, and everything. You're not gonna like disable a truck. It's probably not happening unless you use my IEDs, but not with a rifle. The rifle's job is basically, first off, it just is the enemy regularly getting fire superiority over us when we all have like saws and shit. No, right? Us being the U.S. military. No, not really, because they don't have the logistics generally. They don't have the ammo to make it work. They don't have all of that. So we shouldn't attempt that necessarily either. But you know what? Who's here has seen a war movie, right? Who here has seen a war movie where one sniper somewhere fires and everyone freaks out and panics and hits the dirt and hides, and they're all trying to figure out where the sniper is? Accurate fire is suppressive fire. So if you can't win through volume of fire, you can at least take some shots, hopefully hit someone, because then that has to go in the news, and now that's going home in a body bag, and that's pissing off the taxpayers, right? And they're worried about how they're losing lives that don't need to be lost. So this is already doing a lot of good for you. Just hit someone, even if you don't kill him, you've injured him. Fantastic. Now it's a wounded veteran, right? This does something for you. This achieves something, especially if you don't get your entire fucking squad wiped out in the achievement of it. So it'd be kind of like a 30-second engagement from long range, accurate fire, accurate if you can, because most of your militia guys probably aren't super trained, but you get them a big rifle that's easy to control, and it's used to something that most people know how to use. Most people know how to use an AR-15, so make it bigger. Give them an AR-10. Give them a scope. Probably not the LPVO that's on this now. I would do probably something like a 3x vortex. You don't need to be super snipers. You just need to, in like a 20 round mag, land one round at like 400, 500 yards or meters. And a 3x scope is enough for that. For, I think, the layman, as long as they're semi-proficient with firearms. And this is America. I'm not doing this for like some random country where they've never touched a gun before. Most people in America know how to fire an AR-15. At least most of the people that would likely be joining this militia. So we can assume they know how to do basic marksmanship. Give them a 3x optic, because like a primary arms prism, they're cheap. They're cheap enough to actually get in bulk with an underfunded unit and make sure people have them. Are they the most durable in the world? No. But it's good enough. Good enough, and you can replace it, right? We're not doing long extended engagements. We're not doing long campaigns for like months where you're just out there at like a fob. This is domestic home territory. You have towns to retreat and disappear into. And then you can resupply, ideally. Right. So that's how we're fighting. The biggest thing people complain about with battle rifles is generally as a concept, they're heavy. This isn't heavy. It with all this shit on it, I can hold this in one hand just fine. I can walk with this, I can hike with this. This is like my basically my hunting setup. I can carry this all day, and I have. And it's not an issue. That's what the SF in SFAR is small frame. It is an AR-10 built on an AR-15 size frame. And yes, it's on fire. It's because it's not. Anyways. I'm aware. but it's a small frame AR-10. So it's light enough to carry around and manipulate and fuck around with and run around. If you need to use it up close, it's not that bad, right? It's not that bad. You can use it up close. Is it as ideal as an AR-15 for like close range engagements? No, but you should be avoiding those any fucking way you possibly can. So I don't care. It's not the priority. You're not the infantry. You are a partisan skirmisher harassment force that wants to keep the enemy chasing them. Alright. Who here has heard of the Winter Soldier? To put very simply, George Washington is crossing the Delaware on Christmas to kill the British. Even though it's not the British, it's the Hessians. They're mercenaries from basically Germany. Anyways, they're going to go fight the Hessians. I'll correct it if I'm wrong. It could have been someone else, but they were definitely like Germanic mercenaries. I think it was the Hessians, off the top of my head. And Washington is basically expecting to die. Now, the war has not been going super well to this point. They're a little desperate. Everything is kind of shitty because, like I said, morale is huge. And even George fucking Washington struggled with morale. And it basically just says that it doesn't matter if he dies or if the entire army dies, as long as there is one soldier still fighting in the winter, shooting someone and fucking off so they need to chase him. Eventually, it will be too much money for the taxpayers of Britain to be willing to bear, and they will have to leave. As long as there's one guy, eventually it'll be too much. And that's kind of the crux of it, right? That's how you need to do it. And that's when it shines. It's light enough to move fast, and it's accurate enough for like 400 to 500 yards. Especially if you are a semi-competent shooter and you're spamming the trigger a few times for just 30 seconds of fuck you and then a retreat. Test it a little bit by the first few units to see what actually works the best, and we see who survives. Darwin exists on the battlefield, especially when you don't really have clear doctrine to go off of because you're the little guy. But I'm thinking as long as you can get back to civilization somewhere and ditch the rifle and ditch the kit somewhere you can retrieve it later, which, unlike the whole uniform setup, this is a buckle. And it's done. So you can yeet, and assuming that my pistol and knife were on the rig like it's supposed to be, instead of on my belt, there you go, you're done. How much ammo is it? Is it a standard infantry combat load? No. But we're not the infantry, and we don't want extended engagements. We want to move fast. One magazine, realistically, is as much as you should be firing, unless things are going very wrong. Things do go wrong sometimes. If they go wrong, you're probably going to die. The extra shit is mostly for morale and to make you feel better, because you're probably not winning a stand-up firefight. How many times did the Taliban, when trying to escape, turn around and completely wipe out whatever US unit was chasing them to then disappear after? Basically none. And you're not going to win that one either. So those extra rounds are just to maybe put some heads down so you can maybe fuck off a little bit better. And that's about the most they're going to do for you. But it's an extra 2 mags on that setup. So 25 rounds in the gun. This is empty. But imagine 25 rounds in the gun and the starter mag. And then either 40 or 50 if you're doing 25 rounders extra. Right? Again, realistically, that's more than you'll get a chance to use. If you're sitting there trading rounds, something's gone wrong. Something's gone very, very wrong, and you're probably dead. And then There's 2 mags for the pistol, just because it's basically no extra weight, because it's a very lightweight kit overall, even after you have water. And the pistol is your backup. And if this is big and heavy and cumbersome, well, fucking sling it. I'm hooked. Yeah, that shouldn't. And the holster isn't normally on the belt. It should be on the thing. Anyways, right. You need extra tight confines that the rifle is too long for. Is a pistol great? No. Does it work? Yes. Besides, I hate to tell you this, but no rifle you're carrying is penetrating U.S. military plates. And I understand that the troops in the Ukraine war right now from Russia are maybe not all wearing great body armor because of supply issues, but I'm not planning on them just deciding to come naked. So a pistol is not really that much worse in extreme plus quarters. So if you're not confident CQBing with the rifle, fucking stocked up, even if you have a shorter range optic, cool. Pistol. Everyone in the U.S. that again would be likely to be volunteering for this militia force probably already has a pistol. Bring your own sidearm. Fuck it. This is our home field. We're not worried about logistics and shipping all the mags and things overseas. You are already home. If your pistol gets fucked up and you need a replacement part, get a new pistol. So yeah, bring your own handgun, bring 2 extra mags. Congratulations. The budget is going to getting everyone a fucking battle belt and a decently set up AR-10. Preferably a lightweight one like this one. That is what I would choose if I was trying to arm as many people as I could on a budget that would still be relatively effective. Can you do cheaper with like a shitty like PSA AR-15? Yes. But I don't think it would be as effective. I don't think the numbers really make it work in the age of fucking armored vehicles. I don't think that can cut it anymore. I understand the arguments otherwise. Feel free to disagree with me in the comments. If anyone actually watches this and disagrees, I will have that debate with you. I would love to. But I think this is the play. And if you cut off the bipod and the light, this actually gets significantly lighter. If you run fucking just a 3X that's lighter than the full LPVO, you can shed some weight here, and it's really not that bad anyways. And yes, ounces equal pounds, pounds equal pain. I understand. I know the sayings, but this is not the infantry. People have carried a lot more than this in a lot of wars. Think about fucking World War II, how much they were fucking carrying. And yes, the issue with that mostly nowadays is body armor. Guess what body armor is really for, though? Not you. And I mean, is it helpful? Maybe. I'm not against body armor. I have a plate carrier. I like it. But it's kind of a nerd thing. It's just because I like it. I would pick the belt rig in something like this as like the Minuteman setup. Why? Because mobility matters more. Taking it off really fast to ditch it matters more. And if you get shot, you're probably just getting shot. You don't have, presumably in this whole partisan scenario, you don't have a complex web of doctors that are ready to treat you if you get shot. You're probably dead. And what does a plate carrier really do? A plate is not that much coverage. It, it's something. If you get hit in the plate, fantastic. But if you're firing prone or whatever, they're not really covering you. They're really, really good. Why do we love them so much? Is because we do a lot of our urban warfare involves kicking in doors. You should not be kicking in any goddamn doors. If that's, again, like with the military uniform, if you want to have your few like elite strike teams that have the stuff, cool, there's a place for it. But for your average Joe that you're coming in from nowhere to just do this shit, They should not be kicking in any doors. They will lose. They'll lose. They're not gonna beat like the infantry in like a door kicking match. Maybe if you can get like super behind lines and like find a logistics crew that's really shitty with their security, sure, maybe. I've seen some pretty shitty like S shop guys in the military that I think a lot of general gun owners could take, even if they were rocking a suboptimal rifle like an AR-10 in close range, just because a lot of those people can't even qualify at the range at all without fudging numbers or spending all day. So if it's backline personnel that are non-combatants, sure, but just as a general note, uh, if you're doing anything CQB, it's probably suicide. You're probably not making it out afterwards because QRF forces are fast and you'll die. That's really a thing that needs to be understood with this kind of thing is any any actual active engagement where rounds are going both ways is really bad for you, and you're probably going to die. Even if you don't all die, at least somebody is going to die. Meanwhile, how many people died in the entire war on terror from like as U.S. troops? It's only a few thousand over like 20 years. It's a very small number. The average engagement doesn't involve death for a modern tier one military. It just doesn't, because there's all the logistics and there's the medical stuff set up and there's a million fucking dudes and there's all the firepower and the fire superiority and everyone can have body armor and it's great. And while there's a lot of issues like mostly IEDs taking limbs, most people go home alive. That's just not necessarily true when you are not the big boys. Like even do people say, oh, the U.S. lost Vietnam, the U.S. hasn't won a war since fucking forever, wow, Vietnam, the war on terror, all that. They didn't lose because they were losing more men than the enemy. The enemy in all those cases got absolutely fucking schwacked. Vietnam was lost politically, but they didn't come take power until like 2 years after the U.S. had pulled out. It was not a military defeat, it was a political will defeat, because the American people weren't in support of the war, which means the other side played they played the game right. They outlasted. And that's the name of the game, is your people are going to die a lot. So you should not seek revolution or anything crazy like that, because it's not going to be fun. You're probably not going to see the end of it, but an ideology might, right? And if the ideology can endure and inspire more people longer than the foreign power is willing to resist, you win, right? So it's kind of you have to have a cause that not only you believe in, but the majority of your people believe in, like enough to die for, and then keep going like for the next generation. These are not short conflicts. These last years. Right. But if that partisan force is determined and does not break, they will eventually win every single time. And it's not by inflicting more casualties. You look at the casualty rates for fucking the Taliban, for any of those Middle Eastern terror groups that have won wars. You look at fucking the VC in Vietnam. You look at the Americans in the fucking revolution. The casualty numbers are not pretty. They don't come out doing well. Just keep that in mind. This is fun to talk about as a thought experiment. I am not glorifying anything. I'm not telling you to do anything fucking crazy no matter what you feel about your current politics. You will not enjoy it. You will probably die. Just a very important disclaimer there. Okay? Because this is a fun topic. I enjoy this topic. As a hypothetical, I don't want anyone getting too excited about it. Back to it though. Again, I don't think plate carriers are really the main thing for the majority of people. Soft armor maybe because shrapnel, but again, it's longer to strip off, and it does inhibit your mobility a lot because it's hot and it's heavy, and the average person is not doing a military training regimen, so it's going to affect them a lot. Because you can say, oh, well, fucking lift more and run your shit. That's great. But you know, the average fucking Joe that's going to show up probably isn't in peak shape. So again, we want a minimalist loadout. This is shit that I want to give to your average everybody Joe. We're not talking about the specialist strike teams that can have all the camouflage and the cool guy shit and the fucking M4s and the smuggled fully automatics and all that shit. That is a different topic. We're not talking about them. We're talking about your equivalent of the random dude with an AK in the Middle East in the War on Terror, right? We're talking about the American equivalent to that. So, a belt rig or just a battle belt around your waist that holds all your shit you need for a short operation, that one click off toss. Maybe also a backpack if you are doing something that will require you to be outside of town long enough to need extra water and food, and then you can have extra ammunition and stuff there, medical supplies. But yeah, we're not trying to be super weighed down. We're trying to be ultra mobile. So that's it for him. If you want to have more pouches, cool. But generally speaking, that's probably it. Right. 7.62/308 is not maybe as abundant as 5.56 is, but it's still an extremely common caliber within the continental United States because everyone and their fucking brother owns a rifle in it for hunting. So it's relatively easy to resource, whether you are looting random houses or you're able to fucking actually shop and buy it, depending on what the scenario is. And it is still a common military caliber. So you can probably resupply it, depending on who you're facing, from the enemy, if you're actually ever able to loot their shit. Or if you are working alongside the military as like unofficial extension, like trying to harass an invading force and like just delay them while the military gets its shit together and gets there. Like, you're like, oh, I'm just trying to, keep the fucking whoever, the Zimbabweans, just because they would never invade. It's the only reason I'm using them as an example. Don't take this as some kind of mean thing. We're gonna just fictional stupid scenario. Actually, we'll go with Ireland. It's Ireland. Ireland is invaded. That won't piss anybody off, I'm sure. Ireland is invaded. Fucking Florida. You're and like 3 other states on the East Coast, and the military is focused somewhere, and you're trying to just delay them so they don't spread too deep and get a foothold, so that when the military shows up in force, they can do better. There's your scenario. You can resupply. Alright? And also you can get maybe supply drops from the government. It's easy to resupply. It works. A 9mm handgun. Everyone on fucking Earth uses 9mm. Congratulations, you can resupply. Medical. This is a very minimalist medical kit so far. I want to grab a chest seal as well. It's ordered. It's just not here yet. But combat gauze / combat bandage with the quick clot, tourniquet, chest seal. Then fucking get a needle for a needle chest decompression if you are trained to be able to know how to do that. Minimalist. It will help you with the shit that is minor enough that you can probably keep moving and get treatment somewhere maybe, but not die on the spot. Anything more serious than that, you're probably fucked. Right? You're probably fucked. Backspace, this is going to be a little butt pouch with some cold weather gear, mostly wet weather stuff. Again, I don't have the pouch yet. It's coming. Pistol, knife, canteen. If you need more water that, it's going to be a longer engagement. Backpack. You have a backpack in addition, which can have your extra sustainments to shit. This is your Minuteman. I need to go out the door right now because they're there shit. Basic stuff. That's my philosophy so far, which I will continue to test and fuck around with in the woods, and I'll If I have anything I develop and change about it, I'll come back with a video and I'll talk about it. I'm working on this. It's not necessarily entirely there, but this is where my head is at currently. Now we have a beta test. Anyways. Alright. So with that out of the way, that is the rig I would try to set people up with. And again, the suspenders are optional. Because we're talking about like budgets. You got like you have a reasonable budget for a militia. It's not like fucking $5,000 or whatever, because that's not gonna outfit many people. Regardless, you have a relatively reasonable budget, and you have the supply of American rednecks that bring their own shit anyways. So some of them you don't need to supply, but the people that need shit, or maybe the people that survived their first fucking excursion, so you deem them worth naming in XCOM, maybe you do that kind of thing, right? A lightweight AR-10, a magnified optic of some kind that is cheap and not overly high power, and that as a general basis for a belt setup with bring your own pistol. In clothes you can move with that are appropriate for the weather and are like flat, dark earth type tone that still let you blend in town. I can fucking do this up a little bit. If it is able to also allow you to conceal a handgun for your oh shit I've been discovered moments, so you can maybe slip capture or whatever. Fantastic. I'm just a dude again. I mean, I'm just a dude. And that's the goal, right? The goal is to be able to leverage the strengths that you have, your ability to harass, your ability to outlast, your ability to sink back into town and disappear, and hopefully the local populace is on your side enough to not rat you out, and also to not do anything so overt that they can be like, you're just not allowed to do that. Like, they're probably not going to say, all right, anybody wearing green gets shot. It's probably not going to happen. Maybe, in that case, you wear brown, and then you go to black, and like any other color, you work with it. Yeah. It needs to be loose enough to adapt on the fly, not overly rigid, because you're not a military. You're not worried about super military fucking. I'm blanking on the term. The dress right, dress shit. Uniformity. Yes, uniformity. I don't know how I lost that, but yeah, we don't need uniformity. We don't want to be identified at an immediate glance. So any blacks, browns, greens that you can move in and breathe in and are appropriate for the weather. A battle belt. A basic rifle. Yeah. Instead, let's move on a little bit. I'm going to regret moving my camera, I'm sure. Yeah, don't mind the bed. The bed is full of all of the weapons and clothes from this video so far. Alright. Okay. So, just to reiterate. We want to look vaguely civilian and normal with a little bit of that paramilitary-ish. Like, think about like a lot of the FIA uniforms in like the Arma 3 campaign. They work pretty well actually. I I actually like those a lot. You know, tans, greens, hiking pants, things that are what you would already kind of wear if you were just going for a hike, because that's what people in the area wear going for a hike. So you blend in, and that's your most important aspect. So you can move quickly. You hopefully know the area. The goal is really just to make the enemy bleed constantly. You don't ever. It's like trying to hunt a bear with a spear and a group of dudes, right? If the bear can get close enough to reach any of you, they're just fucked. You're not gonna pull a bear off of somebody. They're just fucked, kind of, right? Like the NCR in New Vegas Kind of helps with that much luck, actually. Think about the two-headed bear, but you're the Legion. You only have spears. It's about trying to make sure the bear stays away enough it can't reach you, and keeping it running between the each individual person. So it's always trying to turn around, and someone always has time to get away, and hopefully not too many people get fucking mauled. And eventually it bleeds out, because you're probably not going to run right up and shove a spear so deep into a bear's chest that you pierce the heart and it's dead instantly. That doesn't really happen. I mean, it might, but like the bear's heart's pretty deep. Like a really specialized spear. We're talking like caveman spears, right? But you poke it enough times, and you run away long enough, and you keep it fucking turning around and spinning. Eventually, in theory, it'll lay down and roll over and die. That's the vague idea I need you to have in your head when trying to imagine something like this. It's not a duel. You are not the infantry. You're not a knight having a duel against someone with the exact same paired weapon. So it's not the same. Think Middle Ages, right? You can have a duel with long swords where it's nice, fair, and even, and you're both trying to just be better. Or you can have the fucking Landsknecht with a Zweihander swinging it around his head as a bodyguard to cut down like a peasant uprising where they all have, like knives and like sticks, and they just can't reach you. They're totally fucking different. They're both fights, but they're not fights under the same rules. Yeah. So we avoid CQB. We avoid the room clearing whenever the fuck we can, unless it's really, really worth it. Like, oh hey, here's their fucking headquarters. They got like a fucking someone that matters there, and miraculously it's not very guarded. And oh my god, all the stars have aligned. Okay, cool. Maybe send some guys that are willing to go for it, and hopefully they have a way of disappearing. Again, if it's in an urban area, maybe they can get away with it and disappear back into the crowds. But don't count on it, right? Now, where's the real hard shit get to, though? The hard part that I don't have a great answer for, because nobody does, is how prevalent drones and thermals are now. You can have one guy per group carry a shotgun. I don't have a semi-auto shotgun to show off. I wish I did. God knows I'd rather have a semi than a fucking pump if I was trying to hit a drone. Personally, I'm not like a skeet or trap shooter. I've never really done it. I've shot like fucking soda cans out of the air, and that's about it. I've never had the opportunity personally to skeet or trap. I'm sure I could have. I've never got into it. I've never tried it. I don't even know where the fuck you got to do that. Right. I'm sure if I had to land to just get a clay thrower, I'd do that and be cool. But that's not my area of expertise. So personally, I would definitely want a semi-auto just to feel more confident. But use what you got. Again, I don't think that needs to factor into necessarily the budget. Maybe ammo does, but this is America. The people that are going to volunteer to do this are probably already at least somewhat in the gun world. Who the fuck doesn't own a 12 gauge of some kind? So one dude in the fucking crew, they've got a 12 gauge. Congrats. That's kind of the best you got for drones, aside from just trying not to have your overhead exposed. And thermals are just watch the fucking Falcon Claw dudes on like countering thermals. Basically nothing actually works. Thermals will see you unless you're like hypothermic. The thermal's gonna see you. None of the things like, oh, wear trash bags or wear tinfoil or fucking the anti-thermal cloaks. They all work for like 5 minutes, and then your body heats it up to body temperature because that's what your body does. And then they see you, and now you're dead. So thermals just kind of they make it really hard. There's not many great answers for that. And the answers I do have for that, I feel like YouTube would get very mad if I said those. But you can use your imagination about ways to make it so that it doesn't matter if thermals see you. You can think about that. I'm not gonna say any of it because YouTube would kill me. And yeah, in like a a civil war type scenario if you were going in that route. Again, it's just a thought experiment. I'm not advocating for anything, and this is why, even if you are of the mindset that you should, keep in mind, look at all those fucking cop slop videos online that are real popular right now. How often do people actually evade just the police, not military, just the police when they're chasing them? Once the helicopter gets up in the air, not thermals, just a helicopter when you're trying to get away to a car. How does that go for like everyone? It doesn't. It gets real hard if they have the airspace and they can just chase you down with a helicopter or whatever. But yeah, it's more a collection of thoughts. That is generally how I would equip people. That's what my main goal would be to try to do. Would be try to engage enemies at the limit or beyond the limit of where they can engage back for your little World War One style Mad Minute or like 30 seconds. Try to hit at least one person and fuck off and do that enough and try to have a reliable enough way to fuck off without just dying and make a fuckload of propaganda out of it. Like make sure you have videos, but you don't have the videos include anything that says how you get away. Just get the videos of the cool guy shit and like hitting people. And make sure the propaganda is going all around so that people keep wanting to fight and feel like they can win. That's like the biggest part, making people feel like they can win. As soon as they feel like they can't win, it's over. Especially without religious extremism to push people to keep going. The PR part is honestly probably the main thing, especially take some notes from like the Middle East and things. What? How do I say this and not make half of people angry irrationally? Half of modern war is just a PR campaign. How can you convince the enemy's taxpayers that everything that is done to you is evil and their government sucks ass? How can you paint every single instance as cruelly as you can? And then how can you overplay all of your successes or invent successes to make it seem like you're doing well, both to demoralize that enemy population, but also to moralize your own and make them excited and feel like they're doing something so that they keep going. That PR campaign thing is actually, I think, way in the fuck more important than what you give Joe as a rifle or any of that. But that's not as fun to talk about. I want to point this out. I'm aware of this. You need to be aware of this to be serious. But the point of thought experiment is more of the boots on the ground, infantry of the resistance type experience. And that's your real guerrilla warfare, hit and run skirmisher. I feel like I'm repeating myself a lot. I'm still new to this thing. I'm sorry for all the repeating myself. Hopefully my thoughts come across clearly though, but just civilian adjacent, highly maneuverable, comfortable, make sure you feel cool and work that fucking PR angle. You need the cool looking dudes with the guns that are like, you know, casually deadly. I would say is kind of the vibe that kind of works for America. Like think about what do people think when I think the crazy veteran is a beard way longer than mine, hair at least this long, fucking the big super buff dudes that like look like they could just chew on a skull for breakfast. And like a flannel and jeans usually. Like what do all the cool guys wear in the movies and stuff now? Civilian clothes. That's that's what people see as cool, and you need to keep them thinking they're cool. And you need to keep the people that are supporting them, and the people passing you food and ammo and a place to hide at night so you can sleep. You need to make sure they think you're cool. Like PR is huge. I can't stress this enough. It's the PR campaign. It's how you're perceived matters so much more. So much more than what actual damage you're doing. Because you're not going to win the war with shooting. You're winning the war by making the enemy population vote for someone that will not continue the war. or if they're not someone that can vote, riot. That's that's how you achieve this. So casual, like it's not a big deal. Mobile, light, long ranged. Just outrange them as much as you can. And if they actually roll out the fucking M7 to everybody, then this could change. Maybe it becomes a game of extreme close range. Fucking rock PCCs and shit, and like homemade explosives try to do everything up in their face. Maybe that whole thing flips if the M7 becomes standard and their main weapon is a battle rifle. Then you have to play the opposite way. But as things stand currently, range. I feel like the fucking the cartel tunnels and like the border that were found. Infrastructure like that, we can disappear underground to evade mostly drones. That would be huge if you could get that set up and good and stable early on. Lots of tunnels, the full like Vietnam tunnel rat. That that would go a really long way. Those are the kind of things that are going to help you with that long game and with that evasion, because really evasion is the name of the game. Garand Thumb has a little SERE series that he's been doing a while ago. I haven't watched all the videos on it, but it's like how to evade a modern military. Definitely watch that. That should be like orientation. You make sure. I think that's about all I got for like just thoughts. This might become a series. I might develop this. I might come back and keep doing as I develop the kit and like take it basically just camping and see how it feels living like that for like 2-3 days at a time. Because you really shouldn't. If you're stuck out without support for over like 3 days, it's again a case where you're probably just fucked. In a lot of these cases, you're probably just fucked. So they're you can worry about contingencies for them. I'm not saying like just accept death, but I'm saying be prepared for the possibility. And like this is basic. This is the basic super overview. Everything will have caveats. You can say what if and but to everything, I'm sure, because you can nitpick anything. Bring it up in the comments if you want, and if I get a few of them, and I feel like it's worth making a part two, or if I go through my beta testing of this stuff and in my own personal funsies training, decide anything really is wrong or should be changed or would be more effective, I'll come back to this. There'll be a part two. There'll be a correction. There'll be well, let's talk about the random details. I'd be down to continue this. I'm really enjoying the kind of the gun side of stuff for YouTube a lot more than I was enjoying the gaming stuff. Yeah, I obviously I grew up with the gaming content. I still usually fall asleep to it just because I need noise to fall asleep, and I've kind of read every like audiobook I give a shit about. Like it's hard to find books worth reading now. Just most of them suck. So I like that whole gaming sphere. That's what I grew up with. But like, I don't know. I just don't really enjoy that kind of content. I'll still do it because the main reason I make the gaming stuff isn't like because I expect to get views. It's usually because I have a game I'm playing and I like it and it's co-op or it's not, but I still want my friends to experience it. So I record a video for a while so I can put it up and link it to that specific friend, and then maybe they buy it. That's generally how I do that. That's cool. I'll keep doing that. But this stuff is actually fun to me. I like just breaking stuff down. I love thought experiments. If you watch this, think of another thought experiment of someone to go through absurd, like fucking what if aliens invade or fucking the dinosaurs come back or some shit like that, and I'll work through whatever the fuck it is. Right. I don't have to. I don't support it again. I'm not telling anyone to go fucking start a coup. Please don't do that. Please don't. But it's fun to think about. It's fun to war game out. It's fun to battle plan about. And yeah, I think this is the most fun video I've had making so far. I'm sure it's very rambly. Like still, I need to really work at getting better at going on like script. I have a notepad up with all my bullet points. I basically haven't looked at it But I mean, I have fun talking and I talk, and maybe hopefully I'll find some people out there that enjoy how I see things and how I go through them. Maybe someday. If not, oh well, I still had fun.